Hello everyone and welcome back to another Universe Sandbox video, and today we're going to be returning to our realistic solar system. So if you remember last episode, definitely go ahead and check it out if you haven't already, because it was a very cool one. But we curated our realistic ice giant here. So we had a mix of sort of Uranus and Neptune colours, put it all together, added a nice set of moons to go around it as well. And yeah, I gotta say, a lot of you guys really enjoyed the curation of that. I got a lot of good feedback on this one, so yeah, I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. It's a pleasure. And yeah, I gotta say, I'm really happy with the way that's turned out, and yeah, I'm glad you guys are as well. So we also had the Titan light moon here with its methane oceans. I've gotta say, that's really cool. I love the way that turned out. I think that looks so cool. Then we had a few other moons. We had like one like Enceladus there, didn't we? Which is pretty awesome. And then just some more generic moons added into the mix as well, because you know you gotta have a balance. You can't have everyone just being fancy. So yeah, that gave us a nice lineup over there. So that was that done. And then going back all the way to our second object we made here, so the Venus, toxic Venus atmosphered world here. The moons are still smoking up. Now, I've tried all the feedback you gave me. I've tried my own knowledge, and that's a good 7 years, and it still doesn't work. The only way to fix it is to increase the mass. But I can't do that, because if I increase the mass, it's going to cause disruptions with the planet. So we're gonna, unfortunately, these moons are gonna have to be smoking up for the rest of eternity. Unfortunately, both moons are being dissolved, but maybe that's just part of this system, as these moons are actively being disintegrated by the power of Sirius, which isn't that far away if you think about it. And remember, Sirius, it's a little brighter than the sun, isn't it? 25 times. So I guess we'll just stick and have that as their unique features. These two moons, is, you know, they are there, but they are slowly being dissolved by the parent star, so pretty cool. So maybe they eventually become rings, or they just dissolve into nothingness, but there's not much we can do about it. I've tried adding a magnetic field, I've increased their iron cores, and I think these guys already had quite a good amount of iron in them, exactly there, so I don't know. It is a mystery why they're smoking up, but I think it's just mass that causes this. That's the best way I know to fix it, but like I said, I can't change that. But anyways, moving on. We'll forget about that. We're going to create our next planet in this system. So, we've got our Earth-like world there at the moment, which we designed a few episodes back. And I've got to say, that one is a great looking world too. But now, one of the comments on the latest video suggested a Mars-like world. So, it's a good one. I've got to say, it was a good request. So, it's from the user Didiella7311. One little request: make a realistic dusty Mars-like planet, but it has some water. So kind of like a Mars, a little earlier in its timeline than it is in real life. So it still has a bit of that water left over, but not much. So that's going to be our target for today. So let's rock and roll. So I'm going to put it further out than Earth, like that just makes sense. So should be pretty cool. So random rocky, you know the drill. So right now, that's 3 AU away, the Earth-like world. So I'm thinking maybe there, 5? A little closer, 4? Maybe we'll have it as the closest planet to Earth-like world. So we're going to place it a good AU away, 1.1 AU. I think that's a fair distance. So it's right on the edge of the Hattle Zone, which is roughly where we want a Mars-like world, actually. So I'm just going to put it to 0. I want to see what sort of temperature it drops to, first of all. Let's just turn off all of the stuff for now, so we can actually get onto customizing it. So, size-wise, it's already looking fairly decent size-wise, actually. I don't think there's not much I need to change there. I mean, it's a little larger than Mars's, I know, but I mean, it's a bigger system. Maybe this object picked up a little more material on its formation, so I think we can get away with the size. Now, customization. So, I'm thinking, first of all, before we pick the texture, colour. That's going to be an important one. So, we need that Mars, rusty, dusty, like pearl or pearly, what do I say, pearl, dusty desert. Why do I say pearl? So we need those deeper colours, and already I think that's coming along quite nicely. High elevation. I think we're gonna. Oh, do we have it as white? Because obviously Mars does have its white patches. I'm gonna definitely change this texture though. I'm gonna leave that as white for now, and then the rest of it we need is that traditional Mars pinky dusty red colour. So something like that. I'm not sure I like the white at all, actually. I think I'm going to pick the texture first, actually. So I'm not going to use Mars's texture. I always like them to be different. So Planet 15, that's one of my favourite ones to use. I really do like Planet 15. So it has its polar area. Oh, I don't know. I mean, Ganymede's always a nice one to use. It's got the nice elevation. I mean, Mars is there, but no, I don't want to use Mars, because then it literally would be a Mars I'm building, which I don't want. I want it to be Mars-like, not a perfect representation of Mars. So it's all about finding a good combination. Oh, that's quite a nice mix. Bit of Europa in there, maybe. Io. Maybe it has some of the volcano action going in. That could be a cool combo. Have a bit of Io mixed in there. Could be cool. I know Pluto's always a good texture to use. Pluto always gives you some quite good appearances, so that could be worth using. But again, there's a lot of white colour there from the high elevation. So I want this to be a little warmer than regular Mars. I want it to sit around roughly 0 to 5 degrees Celsius. So I want it to be just, you know, still a cold desert, but just enough that maybe there's a little liquid water left over. So kind of, yeah, like a Mars in the past where it still had a bit of its water left before it all got eradicated. I mean, that could be good. So I'm just thinking here, this colour. So you can see the Io area there. I don't know if I like that. No, I'm not thinking Io, no. I'm going to try one of the regular planets. 16. Let's just get a good look. I always like 15. 15's always cool. 14. 14's not bad. I like the ones with the craters. 13. I'm still using Pluto as the main texture here. Again, the issue with Pluto is it has a lot of high elevation. Now, I ideally want a little bit of high elevation, not loads of it. So we need to find a way for that to balance out a bit. Iapetus. I mean, maybe Saturn's at 2 as Saturn's moons combined could be quite a good one. Deimos, no, definitely not that. I do quite like Dione's texture. I'm going to try Dione maybe with, because it's got loads of craters. Dione and Rhea. So these are very heavily cratered worlds combined. Makes quite a cool look, yeah. Yeah, a lot of textures merged in together. It's got little patches of ice. The issue is I don't think the water would be too great on this, so that's a problem. I could try Venus. Venus is always a good texture to use. It has good elevation as well, good elevation areas. I don't know, it's a tough one, isn't it? It's got to be perfect. Rhea, Sedna. We could just use the generic planets, really. I mean, you can always get a nice combination with those. Maybe one of those. See, there's a lot of craters going on there. Loads and loads of craters. Maybe we want a lot of craters. See, that's too much white, isn't it? I mean, it looks cool, don't get me wrong, but I don't know if it's what I want for this design or this build. That's a very dominant colour, isn't it? I mean, we could have that as the darker regions. No, I'm not buying it. I think I want something different. Let's try just 2 of the imaginary planet ones. 15 and 16, for instance. See, that doesn't look half bad, actually, like that. But again, it's all about finding what will look good. So let's try, just keep merging them together. Just try and find a cool combo. I really do like Planet 15. That is probably my favourite one of these to use because it has all the craters. Oh, this one looks quite cool with its sort of scratches on the side. I want to say those lines. Pretty good. So again, I ideally want the high elevation to be minimal. That's the only thing. I'm just going to switch this off right now because I want to get a texture where the white is quite desolate. Not much white going on. Or I completely just scrap having the white entirely. Oh, see that? That looks alright. Planet 14 and 15, let's try that. Trying to get a nice mix between the two, actually. That could be... You know, something like that, actually. No, I'm going to stick with that. Yeah, right, okay, right. That's the texture. That's the texture. I'm going to work with that. Right. Now, patches. See, I do like the blacked out areas as well. But actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have these as a dark brown. To try and represent some, you know, some more mountainous regions. I can always change the contrast if I want to, but that's a bit weird. It's exaggerated terrain, isn't it? Yeah. I'm going to increase that just a tad. Right, now the colours. It's definitely about the colours now. Low elevation. See, that can light up some areas as well there. Right. It's all about just getting that Mars look to it now with the correct shades of orange or dark red orange sort of mixes. See, that's a little too much, isn't it? Could have a more sandy, more yellow sand kind of colour mixed in there. So remember, it is a desert, so you know sand is a prominent feature on this object. But again, that doesn't look half bad with the black, to be honest. We are going for a realistic design, remember, so we do need to make this look fairly respectable looking for a realistic object, so I'll let you guys be the judges of that. Just maybe a little more paler red area in there. Maybe go down to the... Oh, no, God, no. It'd have to be a very, very pale... Yeah, that's not working, no way. It's got to be the oranges and yellows. I mean, you can have a more sandy yellow in there. Kind of mix it in there, but I don't know if I like the yellow sand with the more deserty Mars kind of sand colour. No, I don't like that. I think it's got to be maybe a deeper shade, just to represent more rocky areas. And you got the main. This is the middle elevation is the main sort of desert region, and then the high and lower corner more mountainous regions anyway. So I guess we can kind of get away with using a different colour for those actually. So it's just about finding that colour now. I do like the darker ones, to be honest. I think that does look good. But not completely blacked out. I think it does need a bit of dark brown in there to kind of represent that. Yeah, somewhere there. Honestly, I think I'm going to stick with that. I think that looks like a good sort of, you know, a planet that you could just find. And from a distance, it does look like Mars, doesn't it? And until you zoom in. I mean, we can throw a Mars in for comparison. So, Mars, I'm going to place you there. So how does our Mars hold up against regular Mars? So, I mean, it doesn't look half bad, really. I mean, regular Mars has more dark areas on it, so maybe we could expand upon that. But, you know, if we put Mars to this side, where there's less of the dark areas, then you zoom out, it does not look half bad. It doesn't look bad, actually. Right, I'm thinking we need this colour needs to be more pale. Because we are using Mars directly for inspiration. I think that needs to be more pale. So I'm going to dim that out. Yes, okay. Over here, and then it's just about getting those darker areas represented on this. So get a full look around. So it has got some deeper areas, but it's just a different landscape to Mars anyway. So I mean, I don't want to go back and change the textures. I'm very happy with the way that looks. Oh god, that's just messed its orbit up. Whoops. Okay, that's fine, we'll fix that. But I mean, it's got its darker areas down there, I guess. I mean, these zones, maybe they make them a little lighter, but they are still there. That's too deep. They need to be more a little paler. Paler but darker, maybe. Oh no, don't do that. Oy, oy, oy. It's got a bit of brown in there, but still matches out. Yeah, no, I think that looks good. It just is less mountainous than Mars's, so it's got less of that. But you can always change the elevation level, so you can always make this a little more extreme if you want a bit. So I'm going to pull it to maybe there. But overall, I'm pretty pleased with how that's looking, actually. I'm just going to... That's too little, but I want something more like there. There we go. Those areas are still a little red for my liking. I'm going to dim those down a bit. Not completely blacked out, but I'm going to have those darker. Definitely not whiter. Just a deep brown. There you go. Right, I'm going to get rid of regular Mars. I think that is looking good, to be honest. And we haven't added the atmosphere on yet, so that's still something we need to do. Let's just check the orbit, because I did change its orbit. Nah, it's still looking good, actually. I'm going to give it a slightly eccentric orbit, just to have a slight change of season, so it's not a perfect oval. Circular oval shape. So what we're going to do is a tiny bit, just like that. Even that is enough. I don't want any more than that. Just slowly lower its orbit. But there you go. Kind of like the real Mars with its slightly eccentric orbit. That's looking good, actually. Right. Rotational period, 1.49 days. So we want it a little shorter. I'm actually going to have it. Regular Mars is about 24 hours, 24.1 hours, isn't it? So I'm going to make this a little less than that. We're going to go to 22.5. A little faster on the rotational period. Okay, right. Temperature-wise, keep an eye on that. Now, Vegetation will have that switch on one day. We'll have it if habitable. But it's not habitable right now, so we're going to just switch that off actually. So, little bit of water. Just a tad, you know, just little sprays of water in there. Yes, settle. That's exactly what I want. Something like that. Just little pockets. That's what the comment asked as well. Just little pockets of water. Cool. I'm going to make them a little lighter blue to kind of represent that maybe they're a little frozen. So quite like, maybe like quite white pockets. Kind of show that they're a little more frozen up. I'm going to sit with that. Maybe just a little more on the sea. Just a tad more settle. Something like that. So it's still a big desert region. There's only a few little pockets are filled with water. The main areas of that big crevices area is down here. But other than that, I'm going to roll with that. Alright, now we obviously need our atmosphere. It needs some protection. Otherwise this water will not last. So, where are we? Surface. Pressure. Right, ATM. Right. It's not going to be as much as the other one, so I'm going to 0.73. There you go. Hey, there you are. Alright. Now, atmosphere. I'm going to go with the good old Mars sort of pink shaded red. So we're going to get rid of this, turn that down. Something like that. It does have that Mars sort of dust atmosphere kind of filling it in. Clouds, we're going to go white. Completely white. And I think they need to be sparse. Okay. Looking good. So it's a world right on the edge of being habitable, I guess. But it just hasn't got the temperature to really back it up. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the ice and water colour the same shade. Ice, yes. So I want to change this to that as well. There you go. Snow I'll keep as white. Cool. And yeah, atmosphere-wise, it's looking good. I'm just going to make it a little thinner. But it is there. There you go. So what do you think of that? Not a bad design, I don't think. I mean, you know, it's yeah, just a Mars that's on its way out. You know, it's lost its. Maybe it once did have more water, but it's lost it over time. Maybe as it's on that edge of that habitable zone. So let's look at it now. So where is it sitting in the zone? So it is in the blue. So that's not enough to keep it warm. So let's let time speed up. Let's see this in action. I'm going to save as well. Remember to always save this simulation because do not want things breaking in here. So save, there you go. Cool. Now let's give that a try and see how that works. Okay, let that save. Come on, game. Right, now let's let it run. I want to see how this world works in this system. So I like the sparse clouds. I think that does look good. I think that represents Mars quite well. So vegetation, that is... So one day it could look like this, effectively. But you can see it's freezing over, and that's exactly what we want. That gives us those polar caps. So maybe one day it'll look like this if it ever melts. But for now, it looks like that. Looking pretty cool, actually. I think actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the ice just white. Because that's realistic. Yeah. Cool. Alright. Looking great. Gotta say, I'm really liking that. Yeah, I rate that. What do you guys think of that? Let me know what you think. Is that a good little Mars lookalike build? It's not identical, you know, it's inspiration from Mars, but that's my cold desert, but with a few pockets of water left. More like ice at this point, because it is going to freeze. Temperature-wise, we are looking at 5, and it is cooling down. Minus 50 at the colder points. So let's let this run. Try and go as fast as we can. So remember, there's a lot of moons in this system now, so the more planets we add, the slower the sim will be, especially with moons. So minus... Okay, it's warming up from minus 10. And that's exactly, like I said, that's exactly where I kind of want it to sit, just outside that positive temperature. So yeah, I did originally say 0 to 5, but as long as it's under minus 10, in between minus 10 and 0, that's fine by me, actually. And remember, its orbit is eccentric, so it will have points where it's further out and closer. So, going by that logic, I may give it a little more greenhouse effect just for when it's closer to the star, just to boost it a little bit. So, down here, albedo, I'm going to lower you. That may be quite a substantial lower, actually, because that's really going to kick this temperature up. Yeah, let's put it to 0. That may be a little too much. No, it's still getting cold. Even at its closest point, it's still getting colder. Okay, well, that works, I guess. I mean, that's roughly at its closest point to Sirius. It's getting a little further out now. But yeah, I think that should be alright. I mean, I will manually move it back to its closest spot. So its closest spot is there, roughly there. And even then, it's... maybe it is enough to put it into the positive temperatures. Oh, well, it is, yeah. So it does actually warm into positive temperatures at this point in its orbit. But I guarantee you that is not going to last. It's already cooling down now. So it's right on the verge of positive temperature. And then it gets too far from the star. That's looking good. This orbit's a little wobbly. What's going on here? That's just a lot of moons, isn't it? But it is still stable. It's just those moons are little bouncy with each other, aren't they? But they're asteroids. It's not really a problem. It's these more medium-sized moons in the big moon there, which cause most of that problem. But there you go. Okay, that's fine. Right, cool. We're going on to our Mars-like object now. Moons. Need some moons. Give it a few moons. Yeah, I'm loving the ice cap on the top of that as well. That's actually looking really good. Right, okay, so turn this off, turn that off. Interface, put you to a more red-orange kind of shaded colour. Looking good. Yep, I'm liking that. Cool. Right, so what I want to do now is... now, moons. So, random moon. That's way too large. It needs to be a random small moon. Somewhere more like that. Yeah, I think that's more appropriate. So I'm going to place it there. I'm going to go 1. Then I'm going to go 2 asteroids. Kind of like Phobos, Deimos, actually. I'm going to go 1. And I'm going to go 2. And then 3 a lot further out over there. Cool. Play. Orbits on. Cool. So first of the moons. So the closest to the icebound world. That's a cool eclipse we've got going across there. Excellent. I'm already liking the texture of it, I have to say. It doesn't look too half bad, actually. Elevation map 2. I'm going to switch that on. I'm going to pull it straight to... let's go to Mercury. Yeah, like little craters. Yeah. Alright. And then surface. It's not going to be anything special. It's going to be a generic rock. Slightly blue tint to it, though. Interesting. I'm going to grey that down a bit. So you get something like that. So, generic rock. That's all it's going to be. Then these guys as well. Generic rocks. All the moons cannot be fancy. I've always say that. They can't all be fancy, else it's too unrealistic. It'd be too much of a fantasy system if every world is habitable looking or looking, you know, fancy. So, again, these guys... let's make this guy rotate fast. Let's lower this down. Spins quite fast. Oh, that doesn't work. I made it spin too fast. But that gives a cool asteroid effect, I guess. Yeah, we don't want that. Got to delete all that. Whoops-a-daisy. Too fast on the rotation will tear it apart. So we need to spawn him in again. So don't do that, people. That's not good. There you go. Okay. Slightly inclined orbit as well. Let's quickly just fix that because I did place a little too much more than I wanted to. I'm going to put it there. Okay, so try again. So, time. Oh my gosh. 0.4 days. Surely that's decent. Yeah? So that should have been fairly quick. So remember, we weren't running the simulation very fast. That's why it didn't look like it was going that quick. There you go. Okay, so down here. Planet 14 and 13. Let's actually put maybe a Mars map in there. Make it a little more interesting, huh? Yeah. Okay, you can see a bit of Mars going on there. Let's just spin it around a bit, make it look a little more. Yeah. Alright, okay. Again, that's fine the way it is. I'm going to put it to planet 15 now. I like the craters. Yeah. So only just basic customization for these because they don't need a lot of customization. And then lastly, this moon here. Same process of you. Not much it needs going on here. The rotation appears a little too fast for my liking. Let's speed that up. And then texture. We'll go with Pluto. Whoa, that's looking pretty wild. Oh my gosh. Whoa. A very obscure shape, for sure. Let's go something more like that. And Vesta. Oh man. Very wild looking thing. Oh my gosh. Such a bizarre design. Nah, I'm not going to go with that. Go with the more generic looks, I guess. 16. Yeah, again, it's a generic rock. It doesn't need a lot of customization, so I'm going to stick with that. Let's keep it greyed out. Cool. And there we are. So there's a realistic Mars. Little moon system with him as well. Nothing too crazy. So what do you think of that? I gotta say, I'm pleased with that. Gotta say, I'm very happy with the way that's turned out. So you guys let me know what you think down below in the comments of this guy as well. Is it a good attempt at a Mars, or does it need changing? Or any ways to improve it? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down below in the comments regarding this. I think that's yeah, I'm pretty pleased with him. So looking good. Someone come up with a name as well, because we can't have Salby here. So someone come up with a name for that. I'll pick one from the comments, hopefully, so we'll see how we do there. But yeah, there we go. So that does it for this episode of the Realistic Solar System, guys. I hope you've enjoyed it. Stay tuned for the next episode, because remember, the more we add once this system is done, we will evolve it to death. So it'll be one of the birth to death systems once we have finished it. But this is going to be our most in-depth one yet. So yeah, stay tuned for that. We'll definitely, hopefully, start that soon, once you add more objects in. Maybe we'll start trying to do 2 objects an episode. I think that could be good. So yeah, if you guys want to come up with some two more we can do every episode, that would be great. I mean, we definitely need something closer, something in between the Venus world and the Earth world. There's definitely something that can fit in that orbit there. Now, we could have maybe a hotter version, maybe a hot, dry desert kind of world. A barren, hot desert, a sandy desert. I think we could definitely fit one of those in there. Further out, we're definitely going to do another gas giant further out than Uranus here. Definitely could fit another one. We've got our dominant gas giant, then we go straight to the ice giant. I think we could fit a second ice giant further out. We'll throw some dwarf planets in as well. They're just some ideas I've got, but you guys let me know what you want to see as well. What more realistic worlds could we have? We could try and add a warmer ocean world closer than our Earth-like world here. A world that's like, I don't know, 30 degrees, which is a little closer, a little more reflective. We could have one of those in. We could add a frozen rocky planet further out. Let me know what you guys want to see for the realistic system. And yeah, that all said and done, guys. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you did, press that like button. Subscribe for more. Helps on the journey to 40,000 subscribers. If you haven't already, all your support is very, very appreciated. And yeah, any feedback with this episode as well, let me know down below in the comments. And yeah, guys, make sure you have a great day. Stay safe out there. And I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.